talking about wards, what they mean to you, and who should have them. Now, to start, we're going to look at the first special ward on the list down. And I say special, I mean it's colored and sometimes has special effects. Now, you have your regular ward, which is alright, but in my opinion, it is crucial to have a ward like these, the 3 cost. It's basically like an item, but with ward effects on ADCs. And we'll talk about that later, but for right now, let's look at them, and we'll talk about why you need them afterwards. The first one here is the Assassin Ward, which has physical damage, physical penetration, and lifesteal. I personally would likely use this on a Kallari, which based on we'll talk about that later. Physical damage, physical pen, and lifesteal. Depending on how you play other characters, I don't necessarily think Grux needs a ward. He definitely needs a special harvester key, but that's for another video. But that's just a personal opinion. You may find it differently. A lot of people like to put that on him too, I believe. Now, continuing, the next one is the Sorcerer's Ward. It's energy damage, energy penetration, and lifesteal. It's the exact opposite as the Assassin's Ward that we just looked at, but for energy damage. Like I said, your corruption, energy damage ADCs should always have one of these. I could put this on, I believe one of the new support tanks was a energy damage Richter, I think, right? I could be wrong about what he is exactly, but this should probably go on him. Talk about that later. Continuing, where is it? Sometimes you gotta scroll for a while before you find the next one. Although I believe most of them have pictures at this point, so I can probably just look for that, but just hold on a moment. Jungle drink, yeah. Hopefully I didn't miss any, huh? Okay, yep, scrolling. Use your harvester key, all that stuff, so we're getting close to the universal wards that are pretty good. Although they don't have a picture, I don't believe. Which is unfortunate, but... here we go, Brawler's Ward. This is pretty basic, physical damage and 75 mana. Typically, this is also alright in a Kallari. This is what I take personally because I don't have the other one. Any physical damage, like Twin Blast, would take this as well. The Brawler's Ward would be good for him. People like that. And then continuing, Guardian's Ward, usually take this on a tank, or it makes sense to. You can also take the Brawler's Key, either or really, it just kind of depends on your preference and how much mana they need, but once again, this is good. Lord's Ward, I also take this one a lot. It's cooldown, health, and mana. This is definitely a very support-oriented ward, or a tank sometimes even like Steel might take the Lord's Ward. He needs mana as well as health, and cooldown reduction was very important to him. And then I think this is the last one. Yeah, the Sage's Ward. Energy damage and health. This can be used on your energy damage ADCs, as well as maybe energy damage support. I don't use it. Obviously, I don't even have it, but I could see it being used in that way. And now we're going to talk about why wards are absolutely crucial to any good game that you have any chance of winning. First, we're going to start off on an example. I'm going to start ahead by saying I take no credit for this particular, I guess, theory or thought or use of a certain character which we're about to get into, or Kallari. As you know, or if you don't, if you haven't looked at Kallari, she turns invisible. She's the invisible assassin of this game. And one of the tactics in playing here is to sneak behind enemy lines and destroy their harvesters. Now, if you go to respond to this with your whole team or a few people, you're losing farm, and she's likely just to get away and be invisible unless you have wards. And if you don't have them, she'll just get away. But if you do, sometimes, if not most times, it depends, you can get a kill on this Kallari and you can stop her from doing that, because losing your harvesters all over the map all the time can be absolutely destructive to your chances of winning, as well as just your general enjoyment of play, because it can be very annoying. If you haven't seen this yet, make sure to have wards, which you should have anyways when this happens. Not to mention, if you're chasing a Kallari, which you probably shouldn't, but if you were, or if Kallari is just fighting you, if you place down a ward, Shadow Ward, you can see her, which means you are more likely to be able to kill her rather than her just getting away invisible. Because Kallari, if played well, can really change a game drastically in the favor of the team that she's on. And it's important not to let her keep doing that. And outside of her, wards can prevent, let's say, what? I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and say 70% of ganks. Because most of the time it happens because they walked up behind you through the pool, or sometimes certain characters, I believe, can jump over the little wall that leads into the jungle where you fall into it through the brush. But with a ward, you can see them coming. And as a new player, sometimes they have the concept of, and it's understandable, but you don't think that ADCs and other characters who want support should have wards, because in a lot of other MOBA games, typically people have that mindset of only support should have the wards and the support items like the keys. This is not the case. Because what having a ward for an ADC can mean is that you can place it down next to your lane, and somebody comes to gank you, because they will. Because the late game, if you get there, you should be destroying them, and it's important to slow you down so that they can, prevent you, or make sure their ADC is doing better so they can kill you faster in terms of your core. So what having a ward means is that you have it there, and instead of them sneaking up on you and killing you and you getting frustrated, any other bad stuff, you've seen them and you can just walk away. Now, as far as ward placement, I'm likely to have put some form of map on the screen at some point. If not, you can Google it, because I'm likely to pull my map from Google Images, because they typically have really good maps already in place. So if I don't do that, you can just go ahead and look it up there. Now, let's go a little bit further into who should have them exactly. In my opinion, this is obviously an opinion. Some people will play differently. But Grim will have a ward. Kallari, in my opinion, should usually have a ward, because she can counter ward so that she's not always getting seen. She can kind of prevent it, or at least slow down the rate that they're placing down wards, or I guess thin the amount so she can do her job better. It's very important. Um, I'm not sure about Gadget, but I'm pretty sure she should have one. I think Gideon should. A Sorcerer's Ward would be pretty good on him, I think, or well enough to have it, I suppose. Junglers, I'm a bit torn on, with the exception of Kallari, who's kind of a jungler, but in my opinion is more of a ganker. Because they have to get a Harvester's Key for sure, and sometimes supports do as well. I don't necessarily always expect the jungler to get a ward, but it's not bad. It's definitely okay. Supports should, I think, always have a ward at least available. And just in general, they should have one. Howitzer, I think, should have a ward. Basically everyone, with maybe a few exceptions. Like, I don't... Sevrog, I'm not sure. I don't know if I necessarily expect him to have one. I don't expect Chimera to, really. But he can. It really just depends. But your two ADCs that you usually will have, if not more, should always have the 3-point ward available to them, because it can really change a game. It can stop them from dying, and that's crucial. You can't succeed in higher level play, or even medium level play, without good ward placement. It's just not possible. It's not viable. You can't do it. Anyhow, guys, that'll be all for that. I'm probably not going to put the map, now that I think about it. You should be able to find that on Google. and it might you look at a couple different maps. So I'm sure there's different variations, but I hope you watch through all this because it's all very important, and this is why wards are key because it can really change your game for you, and it's not just for supports. Anyhow, guys, until next time, see you later.